The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chili. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chili. On this edition of the Big Whack's Buffalo on the Rise, hear the stories of hometown businesses while I introduce you to some great people, like Jonathan McDonnell of Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture, telling us that his method of pain relief isn't what you might think. Denise Ligammare from Western Division Credit Union, who will help make your money grow. And Elizabeth Carey from AAA of Western in Central New York, who encourages us to pack our bags for a warm weather getaway. All on this edition of the Big Whack's Buffalo on the Rise. Stay with us. Hi, I'm Joe Chili. Mornings from 7 to 9 at Buffalo's oldie station, the Big Whack. Joining us on the Big Whack's Buffalo on the Rise today is Jonathan McDonnell from Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture.
Hey, Joe.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good. Good to see you. You know, one of the first things I want to talk about, is the whole needle thing. Because, people get a little bit nervous about this.
Sure.
But, I just talked to somebody who was in to see you just a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
We're talking
mutual
about
friend of ours, yeah.
Our mutual friend. And he says, they're little dinky things. You don't even feel it like that. And so I said, that's great. And that's what Jonathan said before. So the needle thing, people have this fear that maybe it starts when they're young, right? Because I remember saying to the doctor, I'm not going to get a shot, am I? You know what I mean? But it just continues through your whole life, or what's the deal here?
I mean, I do think that's where it starts, right? Your first experience with a needle is generally not a good one. There's a couple differences. Number one is obviously the size of the needles. That's the first misconception. People come in and they're like, oh, it's just that little thing. And then they're kind of surprised, like, oh, that doesn't really hurt at all. But then the next thing I get is, well, how does that little needle do all this for me? I think that's really the magical part, right?
Well, that's the thing, and it's not just one. It might be a series, right?
Right.
And do you have like a map? Here's the big map of the body, and here's where you have to put the needles for whatever. Is it something like that?
It's definitely not so much a roadmap. It's more like a recipe. Like I have a lot of recipes that I've learned and created over the years, right? So, and what I mean by that is, when you're cooking something, it's the combination of flavors, right, that really make the dish. Same thing when we're talking about selecting acupuncture points where I'm going to put the needles. It's the combination of points and how they work together that is really what makes them powerful.
All right, so here's the thing that I don't get, and maybe you can explain to our viewers. My shoulder hurts. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to put needles in my shoulder, though, right?
No, not actually. I probably would hesitate to start there. That there certainly is a method. One way you can go about treating a problem is just, I hurt here, just let's throw a bunch of needles into it, right? And that can be quite effective. But the acupuncture, and I consider that more like dry needling, which is definitely something I do. But the problem with that is if somebody has like a real chronic condition that's been around for a long time, a lot of times if you put a bunch of needles in that can make it feel worse for a little while. Putting needles away from the area, for me, it's almost about like, if you have a real chronic problem, to me, there's a lot of stagnation there, right? Like fluids aren't getting there, blood isn't getting there, that tissue isn't getting the nourishment it requires, and that's really why it becomes painful and dysfunctional. So my first step generally is to draw that stagnation out with the acupuncture needles, which is putting needles away from the area. I like to do that method because, number one, that's kind of the way I was taught what they do in China. And number two, there's really no chance that I'm going to make anybody worse doing that. In fact, that's probably the quickest way to kind of get them that instant relief.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How long does it take? How many sessions when you go in? Is it 5? Is it 10? Do I experience some immediate relief?
That is a very good, popular question. Probably one of the first questions that most people have when they come through the door. Unfortunately, I don't have a real clear-cut answer for that. And the reason for that is people are complicated. I think as a general rule of thumb, if you have a chronic condition that you've been dealing with for 10, 15, I mean, I have some patients that are dealing with their problems for over 20 years before they realize, like, oh, maybe this guy can help me. The more long-standing your condition is, generally the longer it's going to take to get you where you want to be. But you know, our mutual friend came in. It was just a small injury that he had, and you know, he's going to come in like 3 or 4 treatments, and he'll be good to go. So there really is that kind of variation. You know, if it's more of a simple problem, an acute problem, a couple of treatments, you might be good to go. Sometimes even 1 treatment. But generally, what we specialize in BAM is more of that complex patient. You know, the patient that's kind of been on that roller coaster ride of going to this specialist and that specialist, and they're kind of at their wits' end. You know, they've lost hope. That's really the patient that we're here to help at BAM. So those do tend to be, you know, they might come to see us for a month, 2 months. Some patients maybe even 6 months.
So I don't know whether I want to ask you this or not. Are you like a last resort?
Often, yeah. I mean, I've been practicing for 20 years, right? I remember when I first started in practice, I wanted to save the world, and I couldn't understand why didn't you come to see me first? I think it's just like, it's not the most appealing idea of ways to treat a problem, right? Like, I'm gonna go to this guy and he's gonna stick a bunch of needles. I don't know, maybe I'll go to the dentist first, right? But I think it's important for people to know that I do a lot more than just the needles too, right? Like at Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture, one of the things that makes us unique is we blend these more modern, innovative techniques with the acupuncture. I mean, sure, acupuncture is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, but it's really the mindset that is Chinese medicine that really is the magic of it. And what I mean by that is if you take Eastern medicine in contrast to Western medicine was really developed with the idea of saving your life. You know, like if you're having a heart attack, that's where you want to go. Yeah. But where it falls short is often treating that more chronic, complicated condition. Eastern medicine, in contrast, was really developed to keep the emperor of China alive and as youthful as long as possible. So, you know, it developed with that mindset. So that's why I think it's really much better when you're treating things like neuropathy, things like chronic pain, things that are really going to kind of suck your life force and make you old, quite frankly. I want to keep you young.
All right, Jonathan, appreciate that. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture by calling 716-632-2207 or go to bamacupuncture.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Buffalo Advanced Medical Acupuncture. And don't forget to join me weekday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Wank. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, mornings from 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Wank. Joining us on The Big Wank's Buffalo on the Rise today is Denise Ligammare, who's the Business Development Manager for Western Division Federal Credit Union.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
I'm doing well, too. You know, what is or who is Western Division? We hear a lot of credit unions around the area. How do we differentiate one from another?
One from another. Well, Western Division, we are a credit union that's community that can service all of Western New York. Where some credit unions may service just churches or schools or certain employer groups, we are a full service and also a full community credit union. So anybody who lives, works, worships, or goes to school in all 8 counties of Western New York can come to Western Division to use our financial services.
How do they do that? You're right. Some credit unions will say, you know, you have to belong to something, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. But is it something that when you initially get set up, you're licensed for that? Is that how it works?
That's exactly how it works. So we're all governed by what's called NCUA, same federal government agency as FDIC for banks. Credit unions have NCUA, and it's your charter that you were actually founded under. Like Western Division, we didn't come up with our name, we are our name because we service the Western Division part of New York State. That's actually what Western Division stands for, and our core sponsor group was National Grid.
Really?
Yes.
All right, so when you start talking about a credit union as compared to a bank,
yes,
what are the differences?
Okay, well, let me point out the similarities. The things that we have in common is that credit unions and banks, we're both financial institutions, and we offer the same products and services, your savings, your checking, your loans, your mortgages, your investments, things like that. But where it comes in to differentiate between us is that banks are for profit. So they have a bunch of shareholders, and any type of fees or income or any money that banks make, they pay back to their shareholders. Okay, which is the few and the people they've invested. At a credit union, we're a not-for-profit cooperative. So that means that anybody who uses our financial services actually owns one stock share of our financial institution, which is represented as a $5 deposit to a savings account. So credit unions, what we do is any fees or income that we make, we pay back to our shareholders, which is every single person that uses us. And we do that in the forms of higher interest rates on savings than usually the banks, lower interest rates on loans, lower minimum balances, and lower fees on accounts. We're kind of like the blue-collar bank. That's what we used to be called years ago. So that's how kind of credit unions came about in churches or employer groups. They didn't want to go off to a bank to do their banking and pay high interest rates. So they actually made their own bank, and that's how credit unions were actually founded.
So if we're dealing with things like credit cards or debit cards or things like that, credit unions, Carey?
Have them all.
Have it all?
Yeah.
Really? And what about when you start looking at, say for instance, a car loan? So you go into a car dealer and you say, I want to get this car, and they start talking to you about loans and whatever the case may be. And if you say financing, right? If you say, no, I want to talk to my credit union about it, is that frowned upon?
Well, actually, we like that. We tell a lot of our members, whether it's members or people that are just out shopping, will go, they will find our rate or things like that. They will contact us if they see that we have a better rate. We'll pre-approve them, and they go in, and we tell them to use it as a bargaining chip at the dealership. Be like, well, my credit union can give me 4%. Well, I can give you 6. Well, I'm going with my credit union. And it actually works in the member's benefit, because then the dealer might come down and be like, we'll match that and give you the best rate. Or if not, then they just come over to their credit union. But normally credit unions, we got a pretty good rate going on, especially when it comes to the used car market.
And so anything that you could do in a regular bank, you can generally do with a credit union.
Absolutely.
That's pretty wild when you start thinking about that.
Your mobile apps, your remote deposit. Way back when, credit unions were known as smaller financial institutions, but credit unions have really grown throughout the years to be the full service financial institution, that the same services that you can receive at a bank, but usually with better rates.
And if I want my check, my paycheck, direct deposited,
Absolutely.
no problem.
Absolutely.
And my funds are available, holidays, weekends, whatever.
Absolutely.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
What should people be looking for now that we're in the new year?
The new year. This is always what we like to call the financial checkup time. Why everybody waits for the new year? I don't know. We all wait for the new year to start a diet, to look at our finances, to be like the new me. I'm going to do things great this year. So we always tell everybody to definitely give us a call, because we will actually do all of the work for you, what we call the financial checkup. So we can take a look at all of your loans and take a look at what interest rates we have compared to what you're paying elsewhere. And if it's better, then we will refinance anything. So maybe you're paying a car loan at 8% over here, and you see that we're offering you 4. There's no fees involved, you just refinance it right over. Same with your savings, your money markets, your CDs. Whatever you have elsewhere, we take a look and compare to what we have now, and then we let you know exactly how we can either save you money on your loan side or earn you more money on your savings side.
All right, we've got about a minute and a half left. Tell me about Ditch the Debt.
Ditch the Debt. This is our favorite program. We started it about 5 years ago. And, you used to see all the 0% balance transfer specials, things like that going on during the year, usually in January and February. We came up with Ditch the Debt. So basically what this is a balance transfer program, but it's a little bit better than the 0%, which a lot of people see. Our Ditch the Debt is 6.99%. Let me just give you a quick difference between the two. Whenever you do a 0% balance transfer offer, it's usually, there's balance transfer fees involved, anywhere from 3 to 5% over whatever you're paying off.
Okay.
They usually give you 12 to maybe 24 months to pay off, or it goes up to 30% worth of interest. Our balance transfer, the Ditch the Debt special, is 6.99. There's no balance transfer fees, and you can take as long as you want to pay that off.
And where are you located?
We are located at Main and Transit in Williamsville. We also have a branch in Fredonia, but we do everything online as well, so you do never have to even come into the branch. We can do everything by phone, by text, by email, and also by e-sign.
Denise Ligammare, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Western Division Federal Credit Union by calling 716-500-LOAN or go to westerndivision.org. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by Western Division. And don't forget to join me, Joe Chili, weekday morning 7 to 9 at Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Wank. Hi, I'm Joe Chili, mornings from 7 to 9 on Buffalo's oldie station, The Big Wank. Joining us on The Big Wank's Buffalo on the Rise today is Elizabeth Carey, Director of Public Relations and Corporate Communications Director, right? Over at AAA of Western in Central New York. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to see you. We hear you all the time, but to see you, you know, it was great because how many years did you spend in TV?
Over 20. I remember saying, I made it to 20 years. Now what am I going to do?
I don't know, you know, but you will look much better than me with regard to this. Let's talk about something that everybody's considering right now, and that is vacations. And we're talking about the Big Wank Listener Cruise. We're going to Bermuda this year, right?
That's right. Bermuda, the pink sand beaches are calling.
Really?
Have you ever been?
I've never been to Bermuda.
They do. They have. It's a pink hue, I'd say, in the sand, but it's so beautiful. It's such a nice island. A lot of golf there. It's a nice upscale island. You don't have to worry about crime or anything like that. It's a really nice place to visit. And on this cruise, you get 2 days to spend in Bermuda, which is really neat.
2 days.
Yeah, not just one, 2 days.
That's not bad at all. Tell us about, you know, Bermuda itself and the dates for this. Now, are we talking September?
September 13th to the 18th. So it's great because it sails right out of New York, Bayonne, New Jersey. It's, you know, the port right there. You're going to sail right past the Statue of Liberty. You don't have to worry about a flight or TSA or anything like that. It's motor coach transportation that's included. So it's a nice luxury motor coach. They get you to the port, you board, you get priority boarding. Next thing you know, you're having your cocktail, you're setting sail past the Statue of Liberty. You get a day at sea, 2 days in Bermuda, another day at sea, and then you return to port. So it's the 13th to the 18th.
Liberty of the Seas?
Liberty of the Seas with Royal Caribbean.
That sounds great. You know, give me an idea. I've never been on a cruise. First off, these boats are huge, right? I mean, just like, it's like a runway, like a football field or whatever, the number of football fields on that.
Yeah.
And the food is out of this world, right?
Yes, there's plenty of food. They are huge. The only way I can describe it is really like, I try to tell people, it's like you're at the Walden Galleria and it's on water, but it's even bigger than that. But that's just an example. It's like a huge mall with multiple floors and all different activities and all different things taking place. You can't even tell that you're on the water, but you got to go on the upper deck or go towards the balcony and take a look out. You're going to see beautiful seas. They'll let you know if you're passing anything notable, so it's really neat to be able to see that too. And then you mentioned the food, so there's so much food to be had. So you have to really watch it or think of, if you're counting calories, you have to watch it. If not, just indulge and get whatever you want to. But when you think about it, buffets nonstop, like 24/7, there's always food available. But then there's also dining available where you can sit and be served with the tablecloth and the napkin and, you know, the whole VIP treatment.
That's great. So, you know, I wouldn't leave the food area, so that's not very good. You know, when I go and see some of the other great things that are going on. Now, the whole idea of not, you don't have to fly, you know, the coach, you don't have to fly to get there or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no
right?
fly cruise.
That because people get a little bit nervous about that. Now, what about people are concerned about, I've never been on a boat before. And now I say boat, this is really a ship, it's not a boat. And they get concerned, you know, am I going to get seasick, or am I going to feel weird, or will I enjoy myself? What do you tell them?
There is something for everyone on a cruise. First of all, if you're worried about being seasick or something like that, there's a bracelet you can put on and you just wear it around your wrist. It controls your equilibrium, and this way you feel fine. There's also a patch you can put behind the ear. Some people do that just to be on the safe side. I've been on many cruises, never even felt sick. I've been on some small boats where I did get seasick. So I've experienced both, but on a cruise, never had a problem. And when you're there, you have to think about it. Non-stop entertainment options. The pool and surfing and water slides and Broadway style shows and ice skating and all these different things you can, and bingo and auctions and artwork and all different things that you can think of throughout the day taking place. They have non-stop activities.
What about, are there things that are listener specific to, whether they be cocktail parties or specific events going on?
Yeah, so we're working to make the Big WEC listener cruise extra special. So it's going to include a WEC listener cocktail party, like you mentioned. So that's always fun. Some people will get the drink package on the ship, some won't, but you'll be able to have all the drinks you want at the cocktail party. There's going to be some fun activities on board, like games, scavenger hunts, things like that for people to take part in that are just for the WEC listeners, and special dinners just for the WEC listeners as well. So trying to make it extra special. And along with this, you're going to have a tour host on board with you. So if you need anything goes wrong, you have a question, there's a dedicated person you can reach out to.
Julie.
Exactly.
All right. What about individuals that might happen, maybe their spouse has passed, a single individual, should they feel out of place?
No, there's so many singles that do go on cruises because it's so easy to meet other people and to take part in different activities. They'll even have solo events on the ship through Royal Caribbean that people can take part in. So there's really something for everyone.
Dates once again.
September 13th to the 18th. That's 2025. We need everybody booked by May, so keep that in mind. The clock is ticking, limited availability, so you're going to want to make sure you book sooner rather than later.
Yeah, 'cause people are wondering, should I really book now? And they really should.
Yes,
right?
Save your spot. You won't regret it. It's, the thing about travel right now, people want experiences. They want to be able to get out there and enjoy different activities with their friends and their loved ones. So get your friends on board, get going, sign up, and you have something to look forward to, and that's always fun when it comes to travel.
I always look forward to seeing you. And that's
same here.
That's part of the trip, you know what I mean? I think that sounds great. Elizabeth Carey from AAA of Western in Central New York, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Safe travels to everyone.
For more information and answers to your questions, contact AAA of Western in Central New York. Go to AAA.com, or you can go to our website, BigWEC.com. Sponsorship and promotional consideration for the preceding segment was provided by AAA of Western in Central New York.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Big WEC Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigwec.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chili. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big WEC, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big WEC Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.